Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to my YouTube channel again. Today we will be discussing a very important topic in Kubernetes networking, that is gateways. This is a bit complex, so I will try to explain in a little bit slow mode, but you will get to know. Okay. Okay, so let's begin. So today's topic is gateways. Okay. Before starting, we will just want to revise ourselves like what we have done, because each topic is a link between the previous videos, right? So in the lecture 6 we discussed about ingress. Yes, we discussed about ingress, what are its advantages, how it was better than the load balancers and the node port in the services, right? Okay, now we are discussing about gateways. Okay, I want to create a flow. If you didn't watch video, please watch the lecture 5 and 6 series that are prerequisite for this. But in a let's say we'll try to explain in a quick way. Okay, so we discussed about services, right? Previously in services we discussed this uh, cluster IP, node port, and load balancer. Yes, so this was for internal communication, this was for external. Now there was some irregularities in it, or some disadvantages in it. Disadvantages were there, sorry. So what were it? That IP address limitation was there. Now for each service you need to create a load balancer. Please watch lecture 6 of the series. Okay, more IP address were needed, it was not effective, so we introduced ingress. Okay, so ingress were most cost effective because only one IP address were needed, and it was redirecting the traffic to the internal services, right? So but there were some limitations in ingress also. Okay, what were those limitations? I will discuss here about what were the limitations here. Limitations were only HTTP was allowed. Only HTTP and HTTPS traffic was allowed, right? There was no provision of TCP protocol, UDP protocol, and I'm not remembering, some others are there. Okay, so these are not allowed. Only this was allowed. So, okay, why we need these protocols? This is for simple web application. Okay, HTTP is for simple web, but if you want a database connection, you want TCP, right? UDP, I'm not sure, but TCP you need for some database connections. Database connections. Okay, so you can't go to connect to the database connection using only ingress. So this was the limitation. Second limitation was okay, I will get here. Okay, this was ingress, right? You see, this is the kind ingress name. This is in the lecture 6 we discussed. This is the host. There were two types of routing: name based routing and path based routing and host based routing, right? In ingress. So this is the host, these are the paths, these are the general ingress. But what is the second limitation here is that here, if you see, generally in a team, what there are two kinds of teams, like there are developers and there are DevOps. So what do you think, who will write this file? Obviously DevOps will write, a cloud engineer will write, right? But let's say developer develops one API, new API. Okay, then should the developer adds the section to the new, let's say he add a new service, API is there, login is there, let's say he implemented a logout service. Okay, then should the developer here write? Okay, so developer has to write it, but developer don't have the knowledge, or let's say it will conflict, like he it is more error prone. Okay, so DevOps has to write it. So the thing is, this is a common file, so this needs to be edited by both developer and DevOps. So there is not a clear distinction between the roles of developer and DevOps. Okay, so the second limitation is not a clear role distinction, like who should do what. Okay, gateways resolve this issue, we'll discuss afterwards. Okay, so these are the two major issues that were in ingress now, which are being resolved by the gateways. Okay, now we will look what the gateways are. Okay, okay, so gateways, first of all, Gateways support HTTP, HTTPS as well as TCP and UDP and some others also. Okay, this advantage have they supports these protocols more than Ingress. Ingress only supports HTTPS on HTTP. Second, they implement a concept of gateway class. Implement a concept of gateway class. I will discuss it what gateway class is, but some concept is there through which there is a clear role distinction. Through which there is a clear role distinction between developers and cloud engineers. Okay, how it's doing we will discuss. Okay, we will jump straight to the implementation of gateway. Gateway just is on a simple terms, gateway is a Kubernetes object or API that is used to, same as Ingress, that is used to expose your internal services in your cluster to the outside world. Okay, now we'll directly look at the gateway. See, this is gateway class, this is gateway. Okay, so what is gateway class? Gateway class is a template, you can say a template for gateway. Means it will contain some common configurations, some common configurations that each gateway should have. Okay, means it is a gateway class, it is not a gateway, it is a gateway class. Now whatever gateway we will define, a cluster can have more than one gateways. Okay, so we define one gateway, we define the gateway class, that this is the gateway class name. So the properties that we define here, this is a shared gateway class, it will have those properties also. Okay, means you see controller here is defined. Okay, so here we don't need to define controller in gateway because it is inheriting the properties with the gateway class. Okay, inheritance is there. So this is the gateway class. Now we will jump to this gateway. What is a gateway? Okay, we define kind is gateway, this is the name gateway class, that which what is the parent class, what are the common configurations that it's being inheriting. And this listeners means, like in Ingress you saw host based and path based routing, same is there. We define the ports. Okay, we define HTTP port, HTTPS ports. This is see database. This was not possible in Ingress, this TCP connection. Okay, two TCP connections are there. So here you see only ports are defined, like gateways are exposed to which of the ports. Okay, like traffic can, this is a gateway. Okay, let's say this is a gateway, this is some external traffic. Okay, here is your cluster. Okay, so gateway is an entry point to your cluster, this is your cluster. So here port 80 is defined, port 443 is defined, port 3306 is defined, port 8080 is defined. Okay, so any external traffic that will come at these ports, it will redirect to the internal services. One thing you might be noticing here, that here we didn't define any type of host of the service, like which DNS it's running and the path where the service is running. Like in Ingress you see what we define the host name where the application is running, we define path, we define port of the service, we define service of the name. Here in gateway what we are defining, here we are defining nothing, we are only defining port, that which are the ports that gateways are running, nothing else. Okay, now that logic is important, right? We should need to define where the service should go. This is the implementation of gateway only. Okay, right? So this is the, okay, we will okay, now see this file. Okay, you remember the second limitation of Ingress, like there was no clear distinction between the gateways and the, oh sorry, between the DevOps cloud engineers and the developers, right? So this issue is being solved here by gateway, by cloud engineers. How? See, this is the gateway file. This is always written by cloud engineers, okay, or you can say cluster admins. Admins people write this, like they define policies on a higher level. HTTP export at which port, HTTPS at which port, some certificates, some database connection port, and some other ports. Okay. Now, so this is written by cloud engineers. This is implemented. Now, what developers need to do, right? Now, they defined developers created API. They will write these rules. See, HTTP route, TCP route. Okay. So you define HTTP route. Metadata name is there. Parent refs. You see, parent refs. Parent refs means gateway. Which gateway it is implementing? My app gateway name is there. This is also my app gateway. And where is the gateway implementation? Gateway implementation is here. See, my app gateway. Okay. So the path routing or means host based routing or the routing to the services to the internal applications is managed by this is managed by these HTTP routes and TCP route. So we are separating the two logic. Once on gateway we are defining what are the ports that the gateway is exposed to, and then once the traffic enters those ports of the gateway, then where it should go inside the cluster, like at which service, at which database, where it should go. Okay, so that thing we are defining here. These are done by generally developers can write this. Okay, or developers, or we can say some below cloud engineers, like the person who developed the API. Okay, so here you see a API slash API. This is path based routing slash login to, if this is the path, then go to login service port 80. This is similar to Ingress. Okay, here you see a TCP. This is TCP route gateway. My app gateway is there. This is the service where the database is running port this. Okay, so just for example, what's the meaning of this? Let's say external traffic enters port 3036, right? Some traffic enters port 03036. 3036 port is defined here that it is a MySQL. Okay, now it enters this. Now where it will go? It will go to here. This is the gateway name, my app gateway. Here you see same gateway name. So there is a link between this TCP route and the gateway we discussed previous. Okay, now at port 3036, when this will be entered, then this is the port that service will be accessible. So this way, we are separating two kinds of logics: routing logic and the uh, this logic, like exposing the services, exposing the ports, and the TLS logic, TLS logic also. So we are separating these two things. Okay. So this is all about gateways, and more we can say that gateways provide more granularity to your clusters. Like Ingress only supports HTTPS or web applications. Okay, but here we can use TCP, which is used for database connections also, and some other UDP ports also, right? So hope I am making sense. So if you have any question, please do write it in the comments, and please like the video. It gives me the motivation to create more. Okay, thank you so much.